You know, everyone seems to have issues with the Mega Man track, whether it be the rings, the overwhelming layout, the enemy placements, the new power-up, but I think it's really good. I think the turns are solid, I think the stage hazards are pretty fair. I don't really have any issues with it. Yeah, never mind, I want some new tracks. It's pretty normal to put character skins over the AI racers so that you can have a bigger roster, but they've also started doing that with the entirety of tracks themselves. This is neat because it's still the same layout that you've practiced for the competitive scene, but it has a new shiny coat of paint, and in some cases, like with Crystal Mine, the track gets turned into something that's more Sonic specific. Today I'm going to be showing off several of the most impressive track edits I've seen. I also didn't want to look at tracks that were just like slight lighting tweaks. I wanted to look at things that were more full overhauls, because you can do a lot of impressive stuff with animated textures and animated models even. So here are my favorites that have come out so far. Asteroid Coaster made me really excited because this is actually my favorite zone in all of Sonic Colors, on the Wii version at least. I thought it was also pretty cool that this is technically Shadow's level in the DS version, so I was really hoping that they would put this in Shadow Generations, but it never happened. Even a custom level didn't happen, so I feel kind of like vindicated seeing it exist in this game. I also want to say, yes, this footage is from the old patch. Don't worry, the majority of this video is on Ring Engine rather than level 4, but I do have the Dread voice mod equipped, which is very, very important, alongside the Tangle and Whisper voices, as you can see here. Man, it is so cool, like, reimagining these older locations with characters like Dread, who wouldn't ever be in Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park, and we even got Tangle and Whisper here. I would really wonder what their voice lines would be out in outer space like this, you know? It's just so sick. I think that it's really fitting and charming that the roller coaster layout of Chow Park was adapted into Asteroid Coaster. I mean, it just makes so much sense. There's even the actual asteroid coasters on the side at the very beginning there. This is such a flawless translation. Now, I'm sorry, Whisper, but I do have to get you to sit back here a little bit, because look at that awesome logo! Oh my god, you can see all of the capsules for the Wisps and everything. You can see all the support beams. You can see the green goop, lava, and waterfalls pouring around. Like, the entirety of the background is fully changed from the cityscape that you usually saw in Chow Park. Right here, I was very proud of dodging that tornado, because there's a 99% chance that when someone tornadoes behind me, I get hit. So that felt fun. But I'm sorry, Tangle, you gotta get out of here, because this is Dread's one-way ticket to some partying and fun. Because, I mean, I don't know, that's just what he did in the show. I don't really know where that voice line was going, but yeah. Oh, look at that. You can even see, like, the little ships in the background and the galaxy in the sky. Now, moving on here, we got something for all of you Windows 7 and Vista enjoyers from the early 2000s and I guess late 90s too. And we got some monkey balls to go along with it here as well. This is the Frutiger Mall, which is one of my favorite aesthetics, and I think one of the most impressive parts about this track is, like, look at all the bubbling effects and, like, the scan lines moving around. Like, there are so many custom animated textures in this track, and alongside this, I have Knuckles wearing his summer gear from, I believe, Sonic Speed Simulator. This is, like, my favorite, like, OG Knuckles skin right now, because he just looks so chill. Like, he looks so comfortable. This is, like, perfect summer vibes, dude. He's even got, like, his rider's goggles on his head and everything. And alongside that, I have Pac-Man's car fitted with Ai's, you know, color scheme. And it just looks like a beautiful, refreshing mango, which I think oddly fits with the Frutiger Mall aesthetic, don't you? If you actually look on some of the displays, it's all Frutiger Arrow aesthetics, like the Windows 7 wallpapers, or just like random bubbles, or like cloudy skies and stuff. It's really cool. It replaces like all the mall advertisements, and Lap 3 even has a song. I'm pretty sure Lap 1 does too, but damn, dude, the Lap 3 song is an absolute banger. Look at that. You can see like all the Windows XP landscapes on the digital screens. It almost makes me feel like this is like Elysium from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, where everything is so synthetic. You can even see like most of the banners get changed as well, I believe, with like really bubbly block letters and everything too. And I really like that the separate pathway here was just given like low-cut, lawn-mowed grass, because I feel like grass is a really big part of the Frutiger Arrow aesthetic, and it's really neat seeing that grass inside of a building, a mall. I don't know, it's just really nice seeing all these translucent, bubbly surfaces. It reminds me a lot of those like translucent controllers or mice or keyboards that you would see back in the day. This is really nostalgic for me, and I really like the luminescence of everything. It reminds me of the reflection of like an indoor pool. Now, if we want to talk nostalgia, let's go back and rewind the clock about 8 years to Sonic Forces. I mean, some people probably don't have the best nostalgia for Sonic Forces, but I've always appreciated its strong suits, like the concept of Eggman finally taking over the world in like a more mature setting where everything's ruined, and I mean, everything about Infinite. I just think he's super cool, even though his writing was underbaked. But right here as well, I have a custom car for Infinite where I was using the Knight's Hand decal to make a glowing effect for the ruby on the front of the Ancient Throne handling car, and I feel like it really fit Infinite altogether. This is a skin over AI Silver, so it doesn't replace actual silver, which is really clean. And this is, of course, Sunset Heights over Market Street, and it's a little bit sad because I really, really like Market Street. You know, Sonic Unleashed and Spagonia in itself is pretty nostalgic for me, and I really like how sunny and, you know, like cheerful and happy that location is. But I feel like if there was any track to replace, this makes the most sense because of all the buildings everywhere and all the twisting and turning streets and everything. I think it fits Sunset Heights very well. Now, with all the other tracks in the video, I am skipping the CrossWorlds, so we can just focus on what's here. I really like how they edited all of the side fences to be the ones from Forces rather than the ones from Unleashed. I really think it's so impressive that you have the rainfall, you have the reflections from the flames and everything, you have the whole-ass entire mass-produced Death Egg models in the back actually moving around, scaling properly to the world around us and everything. Like, the scale that they showed in Sonic Frontiers was really impressive, and I think it's so cool to see that in a game where you have, like, all these different Sonic characters and not just the main playable one. You get to see the actual scale of Eggman's attack. And right here when I win, I'm gonna splice it to a different time I won on this track with Infinite because this goop ruined the Aura Farm. It's really clever how Infinite uses all of Silver's animations because they have very similar abilities. And I mean, hey, now that he's canonically back, I really, really hope we see him in a free update for this game eventually. And here we are with the Queen of the Wisps herself, Whisper, up here with Jet the Hawk and Clutch the Opossum, apparently. Kind of funny how she's actually interacted with Jet pretty significantly in the past. Now, like I was saying earlier, I really appreciate that CrossWorlds has so many returning locations as well as brand new ones, because it expands on the mythos instead of just retreading old things. But it is really clever how this mod uses all of like the industrial mining equipment and recontextualizes it for a familiar scene we saw in the past. And I think, you know, this is really appreciated just because I really like the level of detail in Planet Wisp's flora, as well as like the luminescent little spots on the rocks on the side of the mountain. The fact that the skybox is so gorgeous, like Mario Galaxy 2-esque. You know, all of the digging equipment makes perfect sense. I really adore that we have, like, items in this game that are so, like, Wisp-focused, like the horn that you just saw. We have the colorful mall, which brings Wisp back again. And I think I said it in a previous video, but I really think it's neat how we can utilize the Chow and the Wisp at the same time as two little different types of mascots that canonically exist in different parts of the world. And as you'll see here, I'm also using the pink Wisp over the Spike Ball, and I don't know if it appears in this match, but I also have the blue Wisp over the Weights, which is very fitting and more in line with already exists in Sonic's canon. Oh man, I mean, this track is just gorgeous. The music does it for me because the original soundtrack in Crystal Mine kind of sounds like the Home Depot, but yeah, I mean, it's just nice watching Whisper kind of happy for once in her element with all of her friends and this planet. I mean, those egg pawns in the back, they're not her friends. She'll ruthlessly kill them. But, I mean, it's just fitting that I can actually play this character in this location, and the character is actually here. She's not even modded. It feels so cool. Now for some bonus food, I'm actually slipping in 2 new CrossWorlds for cyberspace here. There is the ruined station square from the final story in Sonic Adventure 1. I mean, look at those skyscrapers, dude. This looks like a major post-apocalyptic event happened, but all of this damage really just occurred within like a few hours. That's how destructive Perfect Chaos was, dude. And I find that this version is honestly a lot more scary than the one that we saw in Sonic X Shadow Generations, because, like, dude, look at those, like, tsunami-level waves in the background and everything, too. Like, this is terrifying with the moon blue lighting. It's a little bit dark and difficult to see things, but it's really interesting, like, the scale of everything, seeing whole-ass waterfalls coming off of skyscrapers, because, again, remember, this looks like everything was destroyed, like, centuries ago, but this was really recent in the context of the final story. It's also very different than the destruction that Infinite and Eggman brought Sunset Heights. Though it's not too different than the destruction the Zeti thrive in 200 years into the future. This is actually something that Silver comments on and confirms in CrossWorlds, by the way. But here we are in the Crisis City version of Cyberspace, which is made by the same person and available in the same download pack. Now, you'll see here, I got my Zav squad with me. We are tapping each other's strong, muscular bodies through the fiery tornado. I love that the air segment adapts the actual tornado. Like, look at that special effect, dude. That's completely different than regular Cyberspace or the final story version of this level. It is so sick, the extra mile that they went for accuracy. I think all, like, the grates and deteriorated vehicles make so much sense for these 2 different track mods as well. Also, shout out to me for narrowly dodging that there monster truck, but I will real quick show the rest of this match because I'm actually pretty proud of myself and the rest of the Zavox. Now, we may be called the Deadly Six, but there's only 4 of us here to work with, and all of us are Zavok this time around. I got myself into a bit of a precarious situation here, so I just casually boom-boo skip with the Wisp real quick. No big deal to me. I do it for the Lost Hex. I do it for the conquest of the world. You know how it be. Imagine like 4 Zavox holding up a flag with Jewel's face on it. This just makes absolutely no sense, and I love every bit of it. It's also really cool, just like the sheer variety of characters in this game. I've said it a million times, but like the fact that Zavok is just base game, I've actually come around to him, and I think he's pretty cool. I like his silhouette. Now, if you look closely at the CrossWorld road, you can actually see the purple ruby cubes that Infinite spawns. They actually went the extra mile of replacing the road texture. Now, once we get in here, you can see several of Eggman's generic floating robots from Forces that have their greenish, grayish paint job. You can see all of the cubes all around. You can see the erecting red spikes that kind of like have a mist texture to them off to the sides there. You can see the grid from the world on the bottom and the top, and I think overall the spatial awareness feels a lot more narrow in this version of the level, where you can see like the erected buildings from Metropolitan Highway, and I really love how the cubes and the spiral misty looking red pieces kind of just spawn in and out of existence. I think it fits the skate park geometric nature of this level a lot more than Sonic Forces actually did, funny enough. Now, running off of the success of that, of course, we gotta use our drill in first place to secure it for the Lesbian Nation. That's the power of being a Forces fan in 2026. Here we are with Final Rush over Coral Town. I remember this was one of the very first custom tracks that I saw. This is really cool to me because I actually do enjoy the concept of Coral Town's decoration, but I thought that the lighting and the overall detail in the models was not very high quality and overall made the track look a little bit not interesting to me. But right here, you can see the cosmos of space in the background. You can see the meteorite textures on all of the rock and stone everywhere, kind of reminding me of Knuckles' treasure hunting level. But yeah, this is Final Rush very specifically, not just the Space Colony art. You can see like the little rings in the air. You can see the technological roads that the government put together. I feel like the textures here are from Sonic Generations. I can't really tell for sure, but I really do like the blue lighting, even though this track is a little bit dark. That's the one thing about these custom track mods, is that when they have custom lighting, the lighting is actually a little bit RNG about whether or not it works properly. Here it worked fine, where everything is just like a blue tint on all the characters, but sometimes they just go black and you can't see anything at all. But it is funny because I believe one of the shadow players of this lobby was using the Dark Rider on Final Rush, which is just a perfect combination of stuff for this track. Now, there are, of course, a ton of pathways on Coral Town, and I will be showing that off in a time trial later, but I think this is such a neat change of scenery because, again, like I've said, Tangle wouldn't ever be here. Ever! And I really like the utilization of the arrows on the side there too, because the luminescence is something that we would see in the Space Colony arc originally, and the direction is something that you do see regularly in Coral Town, but I feel like the decoration just happened to work really well in a way that fits Final Rush. Now, moving on here, let's go to a different pathway where we're airborne and we can utilize the spacious nature of the galaxy a little bit more. When you're flying, you actually go through the aerial rings that you would be shot through while jumping through the rail grinding sections in the Space Colony arc, and I really appreciate how the lighting shines off of the metallic surface here. This feels like a very heavy-duty industrial complex out in the cosmos. It's really cool just how many different locations exist in space in this franchise. Here we are, back on Market Street, and this is actually probably one of the crazier ones in terms of visual overhauls. This is Kamo City from Persona Q2. I never played Persona Q. It's like this 3DS crossover between P3, P4, and P5. I've only ever played the original P5. I played through Persona 4 Golden, and I played through Persona 3 Reload, so I actually like Persona quite a bit. I had to throw on Joker once I saw this on the stage select. This is really interesting because the cartoonish cel-shaded nature of all the buildings kind of allows them to just be more geometric and not realistic. It looks like a living silhouette city, which is really interesting. I'm not too familiar with this location in Persona Q, because again, I never played it, but I guess it's based off of Kamoshida, so it's very fitting that we're playing Joker here. I think one of the best aspects of this track is you can actually see that the developer used the rain effect from other tracks to create sort of like an old film look, where you can see these like stringy lines coming across the screen, which is very fitting for the theatrical sort of theming that you see in Persona 5, the showmanship of it all, while kind of keeping an older 1900s gentlemanly theme. I think it's really sick. And the colors are gorgeous, the resolution's very high. I wonder if these assets were actually directly taken from the 3DS era, come to think of it, because man, oh man, this looks pretty on the PC port. It's really funny that we could kind of see Mega Man competing with Joker on this stage, dude. I don't know. This is, I'm not too big on crossovers in Sonic because I'm very autistic for Sonic lore, but like, it's kind of neat seeing these like mishmashes of things that you would never see, and I really love the combination of purple and yellow that you could see constantly throughout the buildings and the moon in the sky and the clouds everywhere. This is probably one of the best ones that I've seen, and I could see myself keeping this on permanently, even over Sunset Heights. I think Nights would fit this imagery quite well. Now, continuing the trend of Sega tracks, we got the Lesbian Nation here on Samba Studios, which is from, I don't know, Samba de Amigo? I've never played it myself, but from what I understand, it's a rhythm game, which makes sense because all of these structures pulsating in the back. Now, I do know that this franchise got a track in Sonic and Racing All-Stars, which I want to believe that's where these assets are actually from. Now, I really do appreciate the art direction and colors of the original Sand Road, but honestly, I appreciate the much more detailed textures on every corner and on every surface with the Samba Studios assets. Like, you got stars on the pathway here, you got, like, the Samba arch on the top there, you got the dancing buildings and scaffolding, and there looks like this like, synthetic wall of clouds in the back, too? I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about this franchise. I just assume this is some kind of set for a music festival or maybe music videos. I have no idea. Coming back into it on lap 3, I'm also noticing just how saturated those palm trees are, which is really neato burrito. I do really like the feeling of, like, there are fake assets in this world. Like, look at that. You could see the 3, 2, 1 countdown like they're filming something. I'm basically just theorizing what I'm seeing at this point, but I think it's really, really cool. I am also, of course, very impressed that you have custom assets with custom animations, because usually, you know, importing a custom model into a stage probably isn't too entirely difficult to do. I probably could have taken that cut, but I wasn't confident that I would have made it all the way, and because I didn't take that cut, I secured myself a loss. That's just how this track works. But it was fun to get a new look and a new take on the sand stage, because usually decoration in sand stages are pretty samey. There's not a lot of variance in them. Oh wow, there's even like hot air balloons in the sky. I really like the interior section here. You can kind of see it on the replay once the victory animation is playing. There's so much jam-packed into this space. The stimulation of it is really cartoony and uplifting. I really enjoy this. Now here's an interesting one. I own Mario Kart World, but I haven't played more than like 6 hours of it because I find the driving to be really slow and kind of hard to get used to after so many hours of CrossWorlds and the snaking and just the general really fast, snappy movement in this game. So it is kind of neat to see the visuals from Mario Kart World get repurposed in this game. Now, there is a dynamic lighting mechanic in this custom stage mod, but it kind of makes things like really dark half the time. It's a little bit buggy, but I still do appreciate what they were going for because in certain spots it looks really nice because it can illuminate like a purple glow onto your character and everything. It's pretty cool. But another thing that I think is really interesting is that in this current meta, we have to adapt on stages like Sand Road and Blizzard Valley because we no longer are used to always driving with the slippery physics, only when you're on sand or ice now. And wow, look at that cavern, look at that opening, dude, look at the Aurora Borealis in the back. I feel like this is such a more striking, like, visual tone for a purely, like, ice-cold theme for a track. I think that the one that we got in the original game is also really good because it feels more industrial, but this kind of fits alongside good old motherheckin' Holoska in the way that it's more like wondrous and grand, and you're trying to appreciate the beauty of the frost in the back. Whereas every Eggman-related track is going to be industrial and a little bit depressing. I appreciate that both can now exist through this stage mod, where you can change the look to be a little bit more delightful if you want, but if you really like the original version of Eggman's grand design, you can go with that too. Now, personally, I really like anything Eggman related, and I wish that we got more proper, like, Eggman-based related tracks in this game, but I think that this is a really nice way to spice up this level and make it a little bit more interesting, because I find that when I win on something as beautiful and intricately detailed as this, it feels really satisfying. It kind of feels like I'm adapting to new content that got added to the game. I don't know, it's kind of cool. But in this section here, I was really sure I was going to lose because this person popped the shield when I got Tornado, and I missed my punch. But after a little while of delay, I actually ended up winning this one. I also really appreciate the end victory screens, because look at that, you get to see like the Mario Kart themed Christmas tree at the back. It's really nice seeing those more cartoony assets in the Sonic game, because I feel like Sonic is really cool and how it can balance both really cartoony aesthetics with superstars and really realistic stuff with like Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Frontiers, but it's really nice seeing a character like Tangle and Jet next to the more cartoony assets. But yeah, somehow Desync took pity on me there, and yeah. I also found that using my Lancer car with Tangle fit the colors and the colder lighting of this track really well. Now, I do like to typically just install like Sonic and Sega related CrossWorlds, but this one had too much effort put into it for me to simply ignore it. Right there, the announcer from, I think, Dragon Ball FighterZ said it for me. We're on planet Namek, and the pterodactyls in the sky are actually Dragon Ball modeled pterodactyls. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball, I'll be real. I was surprised to find that there were pterodactyls and T-Rexes in the Dragon Ball art style. They completely remodeled all of Dino Jungle's dinosaurs, and like the flora and everything, the grass, the trees, the rocks, everything is changed to be Dragon Ball assets. You could see there's actual Dragon Balls in this cavern. But man, this part's also really cool too. They changed this dinosaur to be Shenron, I believe his name is, and you just like climb up his body. One of my favorite details that convinced me to go ahead and show this in the video, despite not being knowledgeable on Dragon Ball, is that once you get past this beautiful cavern with these crystals and these, I don't know, mechanized things on the side, you can actually see right here on this cliff that you can't normally access, you can see Piccolo's avatar model from the Dragon Ball FighterZ lobbies. I assume most of these models are probably taken from Dragon Ball FighterZ, considering I believe that's also an Unreal Engine game. Here he is with the Dragon Balls, posting the hell up. We see the fit bro. And here's a better look at Shenron. The sheer size of him makes him look really threatening and imposing. It's very cool. I'd also like to give a shout out to the amazing digital circuit, because people kept making that joke constantly, so somebody reimagined every single asset painstakingly in the exact same art style of the amazing digital circus. This is another thing I don't know a lot about, but there's a new song overhaul. All of the animated assets are completely translated into the old 90s 3D modeling style that you kind of see in the amazing digital circus. The way that they redo all of the lighting and the colors to be more cheerful and in theme. I don't know. This is really well made, but I don't know anything about this. In terms of asset overhauls, this might be the most impressive one, because I feel like this is all originally made, whereas a lot of these other tracks can take assets from existing games. Now, this one might catch some of you off guard, because one of the biggest appealing things about CrossWorlds is the sheer variety of locations that we haven't seen revisited for the past 10 to 20 years. But here we are back in Green Hill Zone once more, baby, with the Sonic Generations music and the Sonic Generations assets. It's never going away, baby! Green Hill forever! Green Hill best soon, baby! No, but for real though, I actually quite enjoy the visuals of Rainbow Garden. I think it's one of the best looking tracks in the game, but I have to give this credit where credit is due, because they did a phenomenal job using the layout and the flowers of this stage to honestly give a really refreshing take on Green Hill Zone. Like, look at this, dude. The underground cavern that kind of appeared in Generations, but this honestly reminds me more of a Gary's Mod map that I saw of Green Hill Zone, where there's a full underground area that has like really quaint, warm lighting like that. So it's really neat to see another perspective of Green Hill Zone for once, you know, as opposed from just the original nostalgia bait. And I think that's why Rainbow Garden works so well with this, because you can see all the bridges and the little tents and the flower gardens everywhere. Now, I do still think that the original Rainbow Garden looks better than this overall, but this is a really fun change of pace if you're feeling nostalgic, or if you're not really a huge Sonic fan and you just got into CrossWorlds for the racing gameplay, you might enjoy this because you might not already have Green Hill fatigue, like the majority of us. Now, I did find that the loop-de-loop in the distance there as kind of like a visual monument was really cool while playing as Dread, because it reminds me of how in No Place there is the one singular loop-de-loop under the sea. But this right here was super impressive to me, because on lap 3 they changed the lighting and the scenery completely, and I would not argue if they just had it look like this for all 3 laps, but you can't deny the aura that it gets for only happening on the 3rd. Oh man, and I love the mist of the waterfall here, because I don't think there was a waterfall in this cavern section on the original Rainbow Garden, so I think that just adds to the beautiful outdoor spring feelings that I'm getting from this. You know, I can smell all the flowers in the air, the pollen, and I can feel the mist of the waterfall dripping down on me as I go through it. I don't know why, but I feel like the warm lighting of this track really fits Dread quite well. And speaking of fitting Dread quite well, I have a CrossWorld mod that was added mere hours after I almost completed this video, so I had to readjust to account for this. This is once again more Sonic Generations assets, and I gotta say, out of every location you could use in Sonic 3, I am pretty sick of Sky Sanctuary. It's a really cool zone, and I think in the base game, it's probably one of my favorites, easily just based on looks alone and like what's happening in the story. You know, like it's really fun destroying egg ponds or egg robos, because they are so much different looking than the majority of the badniks that you find. Look at this wide, open, grassy area, dude. Like, the surrounding structures around you look nothing like Sky Road. It legitimately doesn't feel like a big open sky. It actually feels like I'm weaving in between big structures and columns and pillars and everything here. And one of my biggest thoughts right away when I first played this was, man, I wish that they replaced all the balloons with clouds. And then I got to this section and I was like, wait, they actually do replace some of them with clouds. Not all of them. I don't really understand why they didn't. Maybe it was just for like hitbox reasoning to let the players know like what the obstacles around them look like fully, but I really appreciate the forethought to put some of those clouds in place of the balloons, because that's exactly what I would have asked for. And I mean, look at this gorgeous dramatic lighting here, dude. It really makes me feel the isolation of Angel Island. It's really cool in that regard. Even just like the lighting on the clouds alone is quite different from the original Sonic X Shadow Generations version of these assets, and I think it's a really neat, moody take on everything. And I wasn't expecting to like either this or Green Hill Zone nearly as much as I do, but they look really damn polished. I don't know what these developers did, but this is actually a breath of fresh air, even though I have hundreds of hours on Generations, and I've seen this all over so many different pieces of merchandise over the years. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll use that over Sky Road permanently, but that's really well made, and it definitely deserved a spot in this video before I posted it. Custom tracks are implemented into time trials in a very nice way too. You can see the characters in the thumbnails as well as custom screenshots for the new locations. I think it's so cool when they use characters in these shots, like Sonic on his extreme gear on Asteroid Coaster. Another good quality of CrossWorlds crossovers is that you get passionate people from all kinds of communities to chip in and collaborate with the already so dedicated Sonic community. So you get a really diverse pool of talent all together under the one roof in one community, which is even better for a live service game where people are constantly playing it every day and grinding it. Just the sheer depth of what you can see and experience in the CrossWorlds community is amazing. But that being said, I like to cover platforming content, both fan-made and official, and if you're new here, consider checking out my Sonic modding playlist, as I have many others just like this. And of course, everything will be linked down below if you want to go and grab it yourself.